Immortal there, 25% shielding roughly. So it's not absolutely astounding. It's not overly terrifying. It's all going to be about the lethality. Looking out and defending against the Tyrande, it feels near impossible. You're worried about the Immortal stun. You're worried about the impales. Again, it's just every click has to be exact for Expert if they're going to survive.
And talking to Tyrande, on level 4 now we have the Celestial Attunement, so you can remove stuns and therefore reset the cooldown as well. It's a fantastic tool, especially against that Murden that will look for Storm Bolts here at the front line. Fnatic now pushing at the bot lane as the solo laners are up top with the Dehaka going up against Thrall, but down here Fnatic is already looking for kills once again.
Great job with ADRD for that Detainment Strike, but Bad Benny receives the Lunar Flare and that Hunter's Mark. He is able to get the Dwarf Toss out and managed to survive, but Fnatic did put a big dent there onto that bottom 4.
Yeah, they definitely did, and Bad Benny barely survived. It shows once again how fast Fnatic is with these decisions. Someone starts to move forward, tries to stop the onslaught, and immediately everybody pummels down him.
And like, I want to say, well, Murden is one of the best into Tyrande compositions, or at least he was. We failed to forget the reason he was is because he did have the Invuln Frame on Dwarf Toss, so it made it to where he could eat the damage and then dodge Lunar Flare if they messed up once. He's a dead Murden if that happens here in this game. It is not the same matchup it once was.
But he can take a punch.
He can,
and
better than most.
That's exactly what his job is in this game. Take the punch and don't die. Also, a couple of Storm Bolts wouldn't hurt, so they're starting to go in. But Benny and ADRD trying to commit for a kill against the Nubarak. They don't get that just yet, but they are fighting back. And with everything that happened so far, Expert still looking strong in experience. So far, there have been a lot of threat against them, a lot of heroes that were threatened, but all of them survived, and Expert is holding on to this game.
And honestly, the fact that Expert is holding on levels 1 through 9, that's huge, because that is the strength of Tyrande. I mean, it's not that she is useless post the 10 mark, but your ability to, again, if they do fail that actual blow up onto a single target, suddenly the Murden can use his heroic, and you can actually look to turn around onto those fights, and you just cannot do that levels 1 through 9. She honestly changes how all of Heroes of the Storm is played when she is present.
And in the days of old, when Tyrande was comboed with the Murden for stun locks, for kills early on, the sniper composition, roaming the lanes, the one thing you always had to do, you needed these early game kills. You needed them to get that lead. And right now, Fnatic is not able to make them happen just yet. But now, also, we're having the archery talent taken for Tyrande on level 7, just rounding up that build after the Celestial Attunement that we have here. So you get the extra bonus damage, and we have another Immortal on the map, and now we're talking about that race potential again that Fnatic has.
Yeah, we're going to see what Experts decides to do when it comes to this Immortal. For now, the posturing seems rather defensive. Both of the both of the Globals off into the side, getting their soak on out. That is definitely a more positive trade for Fnatic with Wubby there on the Dehaka, just because Brightwing, she holds the lane, she doesn't push the lane like Wubby. So in the long run, somebody has to respond, which is why we see Athero go in the matchup, and now I expect Fnatic to get real aggressive.
And that's exactly what they're doing. They move in, they see, of course, the hero down bot and top, so they can start to make their move, and they are starting to go straight for the Immortal once more. Currently, 20 extra damage on Vala's level 4 ability, starting to stack that, but of course, we're not near to quest completion at all. But it's still enough to chunk down that Immortal, and Expert in the end will have to force a fight at some point.
Yeah, really big Q coming out there from Nick, but it just wasn't enough to be able to enable the team to start off that fight. But the members of Expert have gotten offensive. They are getting aggressive to be able to move up to the Immortal. It's just going to be the poke install game. That's something that Lunara is rather good at, even without the Nature's Culling, just the increased range. Post 10, I expect her to possibly get even better at whittling away at that. But Expert's goal is to get to 10 without this game being too lopsided, and right now they're doing a very good job of that. Bad Benny getting the stun combo out. Looks like he might be able to make it this time. He does survive once more.
Yeah, once again, he's able to move away here, and of course, thanks to his trait, he will survive a bit longer. He's specced into block on level 1, actually, trying to just make sure that those auto attacks don't bring him down too fast. They have the support power with Brightwing and Oriel to heal him up fast enough, but again, Fnatic just poking away. And Expert is losing the race for the Immortal. The standoff here. Can Athero maybe initiate a battle with a good lockdown against that front line? But just the positioning alone of Fnatic is so fantastic, with Breeze always shielding the rest of his team.
Yeah, they're doing a very good job with the kind of just the dance that we know and expect now on Battlefield of Eternity, that these teams so very close. But my biggest fear here is just the response that the members of Expert, they're not putting too much focus on their ability to get that side soak, which again, the race to 10 seemed to be the biggest focus, but the halftime show kicked off, pressure going on to Wubby, but only forcing a passive to be popped.
Dehaka kind of low here as the Stormbolt hits, and also Thrall connects with a lockdown. But at the same time, we have the halftime show in favor of Fnatic. 9 versus 9 in experience still. Expert is doing this really well, and they are going to the top. They want XP. They want the early level 10.
That's exactly what I wanted to see from them. Just as long as Fnatic is not on to the actual Immortal right now while they're getting experience, that is a positive trade for them. So they can get to those 10s at the same level. Suddenly now we're going to, I expect to see Expert get a lot more aggressive once that combo fails to kill Bad Benny or any other target for that matter.
Now on the level 10s, they have to make something happen here. They definitely do. On level 10, of course, for Tyrande, we have Shadowstalk, as expected, being taken up now. But we also have Earthquake for Thrall. No Sundering here, not going to try and commit to that one shot. Instead, it is the Earthquake, and we see them moving in. Here comes the Earthquake already as Thrall goes in. Cocoon has been used, though. Breeze is rather low, but Bad Benny cannot deliver the final blow.
Wubby getting that Storm Bolt. He actually gets the Divine Shield and Burrows at the same time. Miscommunication being displayed here for Fnatic, but they are still confidently winning this race. Expert is looking to change that, though. Now with that small victory, Fnatic backing, tapping, and this is now allowing Expert to take free damage onto the Immortal.
Expert with a really good reaction here. As you said, Fnatic had to move back. They needed to get the hit points and the mana. And that was a small window that Expert used to put some pressure onto the Immortal. And they immediately moved back as they realized that Fnatic would join the fight once again. In the meantime, by the way, Thrall just chunking away the entire time on the max hit points, especially with his level 7. But here, once again, Bad Benny in a bit of trouble. Gets the Aegis. Fnatic still looks for their kill. Here comes the stun combo, and down goes the Dwarf. Bad Benny is down.
The Emerald Wind coming out, but it's a bit too late. AD tried to get the kill there. Beautiful cleanse from Curson allows him to be able to survive. And now with Thero, they're trying to get the slow. Pharaoh Spirit coming out, not even going to be able to. Cocoon to deter any further advancement of Expert. And so a 1-4-0 trade going for Fnatic. But this is allowing Expert, because a soft victory there, to get some damage out. Quacknick's on the race. In the meantime, though, with that Tyrande, they very easily took it.
Yeah, way too much here. Brightwing also taken down here with the attempt to defend the Immortal. Expert oversteps a bit, and now Wubby burrowing into the back with Breeze moving into. It's the second kill. Thrall is picked off here. 4 kills against 0, and Fnatic is looking strong and now moves to the top lane with the Immortal.
This is scary. This Immortal being a bit later into the scaling, but just what we already saw what was possible here with Fnatic with the very first, it is very likely that they are going to be able to pressure this key front wall, if not a bit more. It is so hard to defend against this composition. The positive side, though, here for Expert is unlike the last initiation that Fnatic attempted, they did not have all of their heroics. Ideally, when they do get the counter initiation and they use heroics, they can't just go, well, we traded even. Because again, the shorter cooldown here onto the other side, but the battle is on.
The battle is on, and Breeze might be the target here. Nubarak is low, but Benny has to be careful, though, receiving a lot of damage. And again, a Divine Shield being used quite early here for Breeze. Expert wasn't following up on it. But now, with those moves that we see on the side of the red team, they're actually able to defend quite easily here. And it's always scary when you see Fnatic moving in with an objective. They are the team that will get a kill and punish you hard, maybe even take the keep. But Expert, with a great defense thus far, is able to shut it down. They still are level behind, and they lack the 13 that Fnatic is now grabbing.
Yeah, the biggest thing I want to commend, though, is Fnatic understanding that was, once the combo is not succeeding at that point in time, that it was not their trade to be able to advance any farther. They're still not doing the one thing that you and I have kind of talked about might be the biggest thing to set them back, is themselves getting overconfident, and they're still showing heavy restraint here, even against a team like Expert.
What really helped them, I feel, is what we talked about earlier. When they lost in the regular season against the Playing Ducks, a team they went, Curson! No, dude, it's not gonna work. There's the stun. Shrimpy hits the bullseye, and Brightwing is taken down. No chance of survival there, and they are not even done yet. They are trying to go up to the top. Isolation being hit on Bad Benny. The rest of the team rotates in, trying to cut them off. They have the 13 talents, a 5 versus 4. Cocoon comes out. Fnatic wants kills.
Yeah, the Cocoon is there. Shadowstalk is online too if they feel like they need it. Rain of Vengeance going to be followed up. Not even necessary. Athero is dead. To no surprise, that is just what Tyrande compositions do, and Cocoon is such a great setup. It's actually kind of funny. This is a little bit of what we saw, I believe, out of Latin America at the midseason brawl. They used the Cocoon into Colossus Smash one-shot. It's just Tyrande edition. It's really neat to see this out from Fnatic.
We've seen a lot of these combos. Cocoon into Malfurion roots in the past. Very similar here. With good timings, you have so much kill potential here. And now in level 13, the Harsh Moonlight taken by Tyrande, getting the additional slows now as well. And the damage reduction. So Shrimpy going full utility here with a lot of these talents. But coming back to the original point, we've been talking a lot about how strong and how dominant Fnatic is, and that makes them their biggest enemy, since if they at some point get too confident, overconfident, cocky even, then they could lose these games just because they don't respect their opponents. And losing to the Playing Ducks in the regular season really helped them to understand that they cannot underestimate anyone.
Expert just ended up using the Brightwing teleport, which means Peekaboo has already been revealed. It's going to be a long while till that's back online. Expect a Shadow Stalk coming out from Schwimpy, some sneaky snake play coming out from the Toronto, because that is why, you know, with her rework, the general playstyle that we have seen.
Yeah. What I also want to highlight is that the 13 talent is ready for Expert, just as the Immortal is on the map. So they have at least that going for themselves. They can fight on even talents again, but so far, Dread, they haven't even picked up a single kill in this game.
Expert, they get aggressive for a minute onto the Immortal, seeing Wubby display himself towards that top lane, but it's not enough for them to feel like they can fully take the fight. Luckily, that camp on bottom will do a bit of work. It's just sadly not the equivalent of a Shaman camp. You know, Khazars and Shaman are very different on this map, and so it will whittle away over time. It's just all about Fnatic looking for the play. They go in. Ethereal would manage to survive for now. Quacknix receiving a bit of pressure. The Cocoon drops.
Cocoon drops, and there's still the isolation on Ethereal. Finally over. They blow the Cocoon apart, and Thrall survived all of this. He dodged part of the combo that Fnatic was trying to push onto him. Once again, they're going in, though. Aegis in the last second, saving Ethereal, but not for long. Down goes Thrall. Green Jesus is dead, and Bad Benny at the same time is struggling in the backline. He's the next one. The stun hits, and it hits hard. Breeze moves out as he's about to fall, but look at the rest of Fnatic just cleaning house and taking down Oriel.
Wubby was just the biggest thorn in ADRD's side. He hits one drag, forcing the heal to not actually be able to hit Ariel and Bad Benny at the same time, forcing Bad Benny to go down. Then he ends up getting the auto attack reset there with his level 7 talent. Immediately a secondary drag comes back up, and the entire time ADRD has a whole bar of hope, just not the ability to control his hero to distribute it onto the team, and why Fnatic is looking so dominant. 8-0 in terms of kills here on BOE.
Beautiful CC chains, great engagements here, and awesome flanks as well. At this point, Fnatic once again trying to go for the objective here. A lot of them moving back to base, healing up, getting mana, moving back into the fight, and their biggest asset is really that level 16 that is soon going to drop into their hands.
30-second spawn, where the Avatar comes online, and 16 hasn't been achieved for Fnatic. I'd like to see Expert try and take in this fight, because if they fail to do so, I expected Toronto composition to come out, the rest of the Immortal shielding not to be able to work, and now it's late enough with Fnatic's advantage that they've been able to obtain structurally on top of it. That could be game. It's just, we're getting to the point where Expert can't mess around with Immortal outcomes anymore.
Especially not against the stun chains that we're seeing from Fnatic. If you sit tight and wait for that Immortal to move towards you, Breeze engages with a Cocoon and they get a kill, that could immediately be the core that is being attacked next.
This is the window. If they're going to make it happen, right now is the exact second they need to. Kirsten is yet to join in. The Stormbolt connects, and now we find Brightwing with us.
Brightwing, the stun. All right, Immortal stun so far dodged. They're trying to go for the Immortal here. Fnatic moves in from the side. Once again, they're trying to find a target. Wubby with a Race Car, trying to get that drag, but Bad Benny jumps out in time. Cooldowns now for Fnatic are off, so they have a bit of a window where they can make the play, but 16 is so close.
Trickle in XP is actually being a huge factor here into this fight. It is about 15 seconds left before Expert loses that window, and it looks like they are not confident to move up. Drag missed there by Wubby, Polymorph response, but nothing to be gained, nothing lost. The Lunar Flare lands. Beautiful cleanse from Kirsten, but Nick's under pressure.
Nick is under a lot of pressure as Breeze moves in. Bad Benny jumps in as well. Here comes Brightwing with the ult. Also Earthquake used right away. Ethereal, they blow the Cocoon up. Here come the stuns, but just look at Bad Benny. He's low on mana, he's low on health, he's low on everything.
Wubby got the Divine Shield. He manages to survive for now, but the members of Expert are more healthy than that of Fnatic. Double support Tirana, not equivalent to that of Ariel. Brightwing, no surprise there. So what is the result here when it comes to the Immortals? Defensive posturing now still here for Expert. The members of Fnatic are going back to tap, and this is where they're going to abuse that window. It was a miracle that Expert was able to hold on to that.
It is that 16, but if they get the Immortal now, they buy time for themselves. They need the Immortal, though. Here comes the attack. Fnatic goes in. They have the advantage. They have the talent. They have the levels. They're going for Bad Benny. He jumps out barely. The Immortal is so low, but they can't deliver the final few points of damage. They need to claim it.
About 1,000 HP remaining. Their raw Lunar Flare landing. Rain of Vengeance just at the very tip. Nick actually gets out of there. Like, that was like, honestly, depending on what part of his gallop he was on, I'm pretty sure he'd have been hit. That was so close.
1.5 levels until Expert hits the next talent level. Fnatic is starting to push them back. Mark of Mending on the side of Shrimpy's Tyrande that we have here on 16. The epicenter for Nuburak. He wants these fights. He wants to go, and he wants to go deep. And of course, Uther is always going to be there with the Benediction, trying to deliver the double stun. And here it is, the combo. Nice negated by Oriel using the ult here, going for the Aegis, but Cocoon is already out. Thero trying to get the Immortal, and he indeed does. Now all they have to do is to move back and don't die.
That pre-cleanse from Curson and the Emerald One to keep him alive. The isolation was used there to try and make sure they were able to pick up that Lunara. Time after time, Curson is tested on his response time, and he is really following up.
That was such a good escape there. That play was so good. The flank from Thrall, trying to make sure that they get the Immortal. They bought themselves time in this game, and maybe even a keep at the bot lane. Just look how much damage this Immortal alone already does. The scaling helps so much on this map. And even though they are half a level behind, this really helps them to close the gap.
And the experience hitting to the 16 mark is all that Expert could be hoping for. Now they're at the later stages of the game where suddenly Detranda is not nearly as intimidating. Yes, she is so powerful, but the probability of you getting that stun lock like the 1 through 9 is significantly less. So now, will Expert suddenly turn these fights?
Wooby actually engaged already, so there's no flank possible anymore. He already moved in from the top lane. This is a chance for Expert. They have the level 16 and they're starting to move in with it. We already have Oriel with the attack speed increase for Lunara. That's going to help so much. They're going for the keep threat, and they are very likely to get the first keep in the game now. The combo hits Bad Benny, but he moves out and the Immortal finishes the keep.
Now the members of Fnatic get the drag onto Lunara. Aegis is not going to be used, and so that is now Nick is dead. Will Fnatic be able to aggress? The Earthquake is too much to slow them down, but Fnatic survives after losing that keep.
Yeah, that was actually a bit of a, that was scary for a second here, but the keep alone is already such a big win. Them losing Lunara, that was of course a bit of a setback. If they can get a kill here, then they can maybe even go farther and ride that momentum to victory on the second map. But right now, Fnatic has the lead in experience still, but we are still 2 levels away from level 20.
Normally, I would say in a Tyrande composition, if you manage to get that first keep the way Expert has, that you can suddenly posture around and abuse the lack of wave clear these compositions traditionally have, but the fact that there's a Dahaka, that is the saving grace here for Fnatic, that even though they are without that keep on bottom, they should be able to utilize Wubby effectively enough, and I mean, it's Fnatic. They know how to use these globals, so it's not as bad as it could be, but it's still great here for Expert and their chances in the game.
And while we have a bit of a break here, let's talk about Thrall and his build real quickly, because as you can see right now, first of all, on level 1, committed to the Echo of Elements, so highly stacking into the Chain Lightning here. On level 4 then, just following that up, we're currently seeing him with a Frostwolf pack. So really committing at this point to his quest talents. Mana Tide, my bad. And very important, the Ancestral Wrath on level 7, that you can really spam out against the tanks in particular to push a massive amount of damage onto them. And this is exactly what Thrall has been doing in this game. He's currently the 3rd highest when it comes to the hero damage, only surpassed by Lunara and by Avala on the side of Fnatic. So Thrall having a huge impact at that front line, also with the utility that he offers with Earthquake on level 13. Frostwolf's Grace for him. And we are actually seeing at this point Curson again in trouble, but with a nice reaction as Fnatic is trying to snipe him. Yeah, he uses his ult and survives.
Huge job, man, not getting got out there. It's because the Immortal spawning, that would have 100% been Fnatic claiming this next Immortal for themselves. So Curson, with once again his ability to react appropriately to the members of Fnatic, they still stand a chance on this Immortal. And this goes over to Expert reasonably healthy. This could be enough for them to be able to claim the second game.
And especially, to be honest with you, with the level 16 on Thrall, with the Alpha Wolf, they can really start hurting these tanks. And that is a big plus for them now that they are again on even talents. Top lane is being pressured by Expert's camp that was well timed and forces Dehaka to move up top, and they already have a significant amount of damage on Fnatic's Immortal. So Fnatic is really just trying to dance around now. And you've been talking about Tyrande earlier. She is starting to struggle a bit more. Fnatic ideally would get a one-shot here with a good stun combo, but so far the supports on the side of Expert have played an exceptional game and denied it every single step of the way.
Thero there maybe out a bit too far for a second. Brushstock's going to come online, but with that Thornwood Vine thrown out, it actually managed to clip Smex and Wubby, so they were unable to further their advancement any longer. The 20 is closing in, though, for Fnatic, and that's something that has got to be weighing on Team Expert's shoulders. Breeze eats a bit of damage, but it is just so tense as these teams dance. One wrong step, and they could go down. Curson, once again, another cleanse.
Keep in mind that Expert has not a single kill just yet. Once again, they're getting stunned here by Schwimpy as he drops the flares. But we have in this situation still Expert holding on to the game. Here comes the Earthquake as Fnatic is starting to engage, already using the isolation against ADRD. Ultimate cooldowns are being traded. Breeze jumps in. They want the lockdown against the Thero, but they don't get it. Bad Benny in the backline with stuns on his own. They need to save him somehow, but the drag connects and immediately Oriel goes in with another Aegis, keeping him alive.
Yeah, and the Immortal's taking a bit of damage. The Lunar Flare coming out though. Breeze setting it up, a Bad Benny Dwarf Toss on out. He lives. Now look at Nick, that Splinter Spear damage. Fnatic is now second guessing if they have the opportunity to make this happen. Nick walks up, he's gonna say thank you and kick off the halftime show, and now Expert takes a freaking huge lead on this Immortal.
You don't simply kill a dwarf. Bad Benny jumps out and is once again invincible here. And it's just insane. Just look at these stats. 9 kills against 0. Fnatic the lead in experience, but Expert is really starting to pressure them. The problem for Expert is the 20 talent, but it looks like they are trying to get the Immortal before that's even becoming an issue.
They're doing their best to make that happen. In a couple of minutes, they will have those catapults on bottom being a problem for Fnatic. The stun comes out. Bad Benny receives the Rain of Vengeance. Interruption on the Dwarf Toss. The cleanse comes out, so that is Curson again saving. Cocoon is used a thorough reset Edjo, and he goes down. The pressure is there. Fnatic is now in the lead.
And once again, Vobi going in. They get the kill. Oriel is dead, and so is Muradin. Fnatic, when it matters, they show up. They go in again. They have the 20. They drop Lunara. They look for Curson. They can't kill him just yet, but they are on the move to the bot lane and to the keep.
With no sidewall down already, it is not as fast of a victory here. Maybe a bit more questionable on whether or not Fnatic has the opportunity to move into the core, but 20 has been achieved. Smexy is wearing the damage onto that because if he has the ability to come back with that redemption thanks to his level 20 advantage that we have been talking about. Keep is down. Fnatic now moving to the core.
They're going for it. They're going for it, and they have the time. They have that what they need. 10 more seconds until Thrall is back. Smexy tanking the damage. He doesn't care. Fnatic once again turning this around. 13 kills against 1 at this point. Only Uther falling. He has redemption. Team Expert doesn't have anything left anymore. This is game. A last final Earthquake by Thrall does not change anything. GG as Fnatic takes the 3-0 lead in this grand final at the Western Clash.
Very impressive synergy displayed every time there, especially from Schwimpy on that Toronto. Man, had a lot of multi-man Lunar Flares, which that in itself is impressive, but the thing for me was raw Lunar Flares, the ones without any setup whatsoever. He was very much on point and keeping his team ahead. You know, I normally am very critical of Toronto. It's pretty, a lot of people know that in general. But they really put up a solid argument for it on Battlefield.
And in the last fight, the stuns were really what mattered there. It actually was fantastic how they were able to keep, first of all, Muradin alive, but then Thrall is just in a spot where he's a little bit too far out. Ethereal, you can see him here. He falls, and once he dies, it's a snowball. Fnatic moves in. They already have spammed the Cocoon out. We're forcing the fight. It was a close call, though. If that Immortal is ending up in the hands of Team Expert, there is a valid chance that they can at least stall to 20, maybe even get a kill with the Immortal going towards the keep. Expert is fighting back, but it's still Fnatic that you have to beat.
Yeah, it feels like it's just the question is it too little, too late? I don't know. Yeah. We're going to have to find out. But we're going to go to a quick commercial break. When we come back, we have the rest of the series to find out if Fnatic will be your Western Clash champions.
Introducing HGC Cheer. To bring more hype to HGC this year, you can cheer with bits to show support for your favorite teams while unlocking in-game loot and exclusive Twitch emotes. Cheering is a way to show support for streamers, celebrate the amazing, and amplify your voice in chat. Bits are a virtual good you can buy on Twitch to cheer. When you cheer for your favorite teams during HGC, a share of the revenue from the bits cheered goes to the team. As you cheer, items like loot chests, mounts, and exclusive emotes will unlock when cheering goals are reached. Check the HGC Cheer event page to track progress and see the loot you can unlock. The leaderboards will show who's the biggest fan of your favorite team. To get started, buy some bits by clicking on the Nexus icon at the bottom of chat and select Get Bits. Then, when a team impresses you with skills like these, click on the Nexus icon in chat, select the team logo, add the number of bits you want to use, and a message to cheer them on. You'll summon a team-themed animated cheer mode to celebrate the moment and amplify your voice in chat. The more bits you use, the cooler and more animated the cheer mode. Be sure to link your Blizzard and Twitch accounts to claim your loot when it becomes available. We'll see you in the Nexus.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Western Clash here. At the moment, Fnatic is one game away from crowning themselves the Western Clash champion. So not only the world champion, but also the Western Clash champion. This is very, very close in terms of them just being able to reach that goal here. But what's important to note is that Expert had a bit of a better shot in that game, Tim.
Yeah, they certainly did. I mean, they displayed some patience that we really needed to see from them with Lenara and the Thrall. They had incredible control when it came to the Aura on the Brightwing, saving Bad Bunny multiple times. We talk about trust with Fnatic. There was some major trust on display there with Bad Bunny and the rest of the crew members. It was actually inspiring to see.
Yeah, you could see that everything was designed to be able to deal with the initial stuns, everything going in from Fnatic. And then there was disengage in the form of Earthquake and Emerald Wind to try to back off from that. But the problem was that they didn't get an immediate kill after that when they re-engaged, which is something that Expert's very good at. Then the problem was that they were out of these heroic abilities, and then all of a sudden the stun locks would come back in from Fnatic. The adaptation was almost there, but one final fight from Fnatic is all it took.
Well, time for the highlights from game number 3 or 2 or whatever you want to call it.
I have 2 highlights prepared for you. The first one is going to be, if we just pause this for a second, this is going to be the first moment where Expert makes a legitimate stand. First of all, every Shrimpy to run the stun just hit. I want to know where he got that kind of aim. That's just crazy. But this is the best moment. We're going to play this slowly forward as Team Expert here gets their Muradin caught. First of all, Wubby comes in here, goes on Thrall with the isolation. We'll land the follow-up drag soon. And we have Anubara coming in here, gets the stun. Muradin jumps in with the peel in front. Layers and layers of protection here for Expert, but every single stun hits. Look at that. That's a 3-man Lunar Flare here. Fnatic just absolutely crazy. They pull in Ariel. It's not actually the clip I was expecting. Sorry about that.
Oh, good. Not a problem.
Here's another moment where talent equality is there. Emerald Wind and Earthquake comes out. But look at that. Fnatic, they just keep drawing away from that Earthquake zone. It lasts for 12 seconds. And that is how Expert was never able to get a kill in this game.
Incredible. It's crazy to watch this constantly happening here and assuming that any other team may have fallen apart, but Fnatic just re-engages after they go through it all. Find moments to even put Bad Bunny low. Bad Bunny, I think this is a moment where he actually lives, right?
Exactly. That Pixie Dust from Brightwing was just amazing. Blocks so much of that damage. This actually ends up leading to one of the best moments of the game for Expert, as they were able to inch out those Immortal deaths. And then here again, they were able to win out on that Immortal, but they never got the kills.
For me, I know you didn't prepare the first clip by any means, but what I did enjoy about that first clip was the fact that Fnatic, and especially Wubby on the Dahaka, he has so much confidence in his team saving him, in the play that he's going to be able to make. He was on about 5-7% health, and then still goes in for the drag on someone, goes back in knowing that his team's going to protect him, just for the opportunity to try and find a kill. So, like, it's these very, very clear min-maxing moments from the world champions that really kind of stand out to me, Gilly.
Yeah, I mean, we could talk about Wubby's Dahaka for years, and I did want to mention one final point about that Dahaka, and that was the fact that he was making sure to continue soaking in the lanes, and because of that earlier gank, which was magically executed by Fnatic, so good, to rotate around and take out Curson, he just didn't feel that level of comfort to split soak in the same way. So that was that little bit of extra utility that Fnatic had in their draft to make sure that they could get to 20 first and win that fight.
All right, time to find out which map we're going to be going to for game number 4 here in the picks and bans. And where do we go? It's Infernal Shrines to get this going once again. And, you know, it's... every single time a map turns up, I'm like, oh, it's good for Fnatic, because they're just really good at this video game.
True, but this is a rematch of what we saw in the first time these two teams matched up today, where we did see the possibility for Team Expert to get a victory. They didn't quite pull it off. It felt like towards the end they ran out of steam, so maybe going into this battleground they'll be a little bit more confident, and we can get that steam to push all the way through, and they can get a victory, because they ran that Illidan, that Kerosene.
Yeah, you say that word confidence, and that's exactly what Expert still has here. They had the potential to go to Warhead Junction, a map that many people in the Heroes of the Storm scene feel is a little bit random. How many warheads do you collect? You can just go end, nuke the keep, nuke the core.
You can race.
Crazy games, race each other. We've seen that in this tournament.
That's what he did there.
So if you are down 0-3 and you feel like you want to get back in there, I wouldn't be surprised if you go to Warhead Junction or maybe Braxis. But going to such a standard map shows that Expert maintains their fighting spirit even in the face of absolute adversity.
I still want something crazy as we go into potentially the final game now of our grand final as Fnatic leads 3-0. Team Expert, it is absolutely do or die now here to see if you can try and challenge to become the Western Clash champion.
Of course, Fnatic chose this map as Expert will get that first pick, first ban. So it's Fnatic actually who takes them on the standard route. Expert giving away that map pick in favor of having first pick. Let's see what they do with it. Not surprising there to finally see the removal of the Wubby Dahaka.
Yeah, I'm really happy to see that respect come in from Dahaka because it seems like in the hands of Wubby, he is such a even more powerful hero than we already know that he is. But I think choosing first pick still shows confidence from Expert in that you were talking about, Grubby. Even though they didn't go into Battleground choice, like sometimes they do, feeling like they still wanted to make sure they had first pick, even though this is potentially their final game.
Right, they could have chosen map, right? And they chose not to. So they are ready for this possibility at the very least. Nice recovery. As Greymane gets picked up first here. Abathur removed. A big thorn in the side for Fnatic the first time around. They played against Expert on this battleground, as we do have a repeat here of the map that they played earlier.
Yes, last time we saw that Genji, Abathur, Karazim, and Illidan. Seems like Expert's not quite going down that road, especially with that Abathur being banned out. It's Fnatic putting a bit of a thorn in their sides. Fnatic now thinking about what would they like to move into. Their choices, of course. A Nubrak is still up, a tank that we've seen very often, but they seem to be favoring ETC as of late. But with it being a Nubrak on this battleground, the control you have in the corridors, pretty strong pickup if you ask me. Whoa!
They couldn't ban it, so they'll take it.
Okay.
And they wouldn't ban it. They have done so many times against Team Expert. So they'll just pick it up themselves. The Shrimpy Medivh was part of Fnatic's first most impressive tournament on the world stage at BlizzCon, winning over MVP Black there on Branx's holdout with the Medivh. Portal engages. He has been steadily working away at that hero and continues to be one of his major secret weapons.
HDRD's mind ticking away now what you might want to choose for second and third pick. These picks will tell a lot about their strategy going in. Genji Diablo.
Wow. So they're still willing to pick up Genji, even though they don't have the Abathur that they have so far played every Shrines game in this tournament with. And getting Diablo earlier on so they can have some control. Also pushing Medivh potentially away from portals or other targets that you want to be able to keep away from the portals long enough to get the damage.
They have a quick collapse already here. That's the mentality they have. If they're able to play around a Force of Will that may come down from Medivh, a Diablo engage into a Genji and a Greymane, if they all synchronize up, can eliminate a target. I actually really like this foundation for them. It's going to come down to Medivh being on top of those Force of Wills and, of course, portaling out when need be.
You also always want to have some form of displacement to interrupt portal taking. You know, you've got many options for this. Zarya Expulsion Zone, you've got Shadow Charge now for Diablo, so I'm happy to see them pick up some form of the push here.
They also take away another layer to this, so this Diablo pick, take away the Leyline Seal into Apocalypse, which has been a mainstay for a few weeks now.
Yeah, many layers to this picks here.
Brightwing, the pickup for the ban for Fnatic, not allowing it to pop up. Expert has been favoring that Brightwing more so than a lot of teams, it seems like. And they will not be able to play her here.
Emerald Wind would be another tool to stop portal takeage.
And Kirsten's Brightwing is awesome.
I agree.
It was really good last game. Like a huge reason why Expert were able to hang in as far as they did and even keep up with the disengage so that they could get back into fights.
So now for our second ban, the one that really starts to bubble up for me is possibly that ETC. When coupled with Medivh, we've seen it be a deadly combination this weekend already. Stukov, though, is the ban instead.
Yeah, I mean, you already have the Burst Protect here for Stukov. The map works in his favor. I kind of felt that one coming out here. Medivh can protect Stukov in his greatest weakness, which is immediate self-deletion. Yeah. And he's got like massive heals to go around, silencing arm, completely catching Genji off guard potentially.
And in general, I think that Stukov Medivh is something that's actually feared in Europe ever since Stukov's release. I think it's a very, very powerful combination in general, as you mentioned.
Well, another weakness of his would be getting caught out too far up. He doesn't have a lot of escape. Medivh helps with that as well.
We also saw Zul Stukov. Might be a little bit too far there with that Medivh, but yeah, again, banning that Stukov keeps that from being a possibility.
Thinking what support Fnatic wants now. Uther and Medivh have a bit of an overlap. They both have massive burst protect. So although Uther's still amazing, I'm not sure that they want to take it. And then you've got Rhaegar, who would actually work pretty well here.
And they would ideally love to force Uther on the other side, since they already have Lunara.
Ah, good point.
That's true.
Rhaegar comes out together with Sonya, leaving their main tank for later. They can, after all, take either ETC or a Nubarak, and they would be pretty okay with both. Expert now, they need to take their support, and one other thing. One wild card.
Rhaegar Sonya going to be helping out with that clear. Fnatic for the first time here actually has the ability to work on those shrines in the early time if they want to. They've been moving more towards the strategy of trying to counterpush in the first couple of shrines, but now they have choices with Rhaegar and that Sonya.
Is this a Malthael pick?
Malthael was possible and definitely very good. They could also still run double support Uther Karazin.
I mean, the thing is that Sonya being on the other side and being picked for Fnatic is a clear move towards trying to limit where we're seeing Athero being able to go. Because Fnatic, yeah, they've played Sonya in the past or whatever, but it's not that prevalent as a pick for them.
Brawl would be much more okay this game than last game, just saying. In my opinion, like draft-wise, they could try that again.
We wanted crazy, and there it goes. The Butcher comes out, and a lot of people in the European scene have been saying the Butcher is about to die a slow and sad death, but the patch is not in yet. And a lot of people have been saying he has a spot in the meta, a niche spot, and ADRD is the one to bring it out.
Butcher. The Butcher. I mean, ADR. Is ADRD gonna play the Butcher?
It's a throw, right?
It should be a throw. I mean, he brings it out in terms of calling the draft. Sure. And a Thero Angel gets to prove it. He mentioned this in the pregame interview. We can say that now. Butcher is still good. Raises his eyebrows. Dares to challenge you. Challenges to dare you. Wait, he dares to challenge you to dispute that claim. Yeah, something like that.
Well played, well played.
Thank you.
With that being said, and the excitement being here for the Butcher, there is, of course, Medivh on their side. The Force of Will is coming out. The Portal to get away from the fights. Cleanse to stop the Lambda slaughter. There are tools for Fnatic to handle this.
I like how Trick in this moment is the word of reason. Like, of all people, to be like arguing against a Butcher pick. Thanks, Trick, for that. You can be sensible sometimes.
Just to make up for his following of the heart in the last analysis.
Yeah, man.
So
Maybe a little.
Butcher has an amazing solo lane against any warrior, first of all. Beats any warrior in the game. Sonya, easy matchup. Of course, escape is a different story, and there's no burst protection from Malth. So this is an extremely aggressive comp by Expert with very little consideration to escape or survivability.
But overall, they needed this.
Yes.
Is that fair? Like, they needed something as wild and as just in your face as this to try and put Fnatic on another side.
Yeah, the calculations were being made, and the mad scientist has decided now is the time for the Butcher, and I could not be more excited.
Predictions?
Fnatic still.
Fnatic.
Sorry.
Tim?
Yeah, Fnatic, I think, all the way. Yeah, it's just, I'm down with the Butcher. It's a little too difficult into this comp that Fnatic has.
Just because you want to believe in something, that doesn't mean that you will believe in it. I want to believe in the Butcher. I don't think so, though.
All right. Well, I see that we're still on the Fnatic wagon here on the desk, but who knows? Will the Butcher be able to retain a spot here for Expert in the Grand Finals? We're about to find out as we head into Infernal Shrines.
When even Trickster doesn't believe in the wacky meta pick, then I don't know what can save you. Is the Butcher going to be the answer?
I'm going to remain on the side of probably not. But I'm ready to be upset. I'm ready to be surprised. And every time I lose faith in a pick, I'm like, you know what? Prove me wrong.
And I have to say, I absolutely agree with what our panel said. They needed a pick like this.
Yeah.
And this is, by the way, also a true and tried strategy for them. This is one of their hidden drafts. It's not something that they just throw out there to say, boys, let's YOLO. They actually practice with this. This is one of the strats that they have, and we are going to find out right now if it is going to be enough to take down the Titan, to take down the global champion, to take down the team to the left in blue. Fnatic, the Swedish boy band, with Wooby on Sonya, Quacknix on Lunara, Smexy on Rega, Schwimpy on Medivh, and Breeze on ETC.
In the red, Team Expert bringing out all the stops here with the Thero Angel on the Butcher, Bad Benny on Diablo, Curson playing Malfurion, Nick's gonna rep the Genji, and we have ADRD on Greymane.
A Butcher on the way up to the top with Chop Meat as his first talent here right away. It's Infernal Shrines and it's time to shine for Team Expert.
This game is the moment where Fnatic could make Heroes of the Storm history. If they do manage to be able to take out Team Expert here and claim themselves the Western champion, they will be the second team ever in history to be able to go undefeated at an international tournament.
They haven't lost a single map. This is so crazy. And keep in mind that as we are headed into this grand final, Fnatic started with a one-game lead. They had one original point already since they came from the winner bracket, whereas Expert had to fight their way through the losers bracket. A 3-0 lead for Fnatic right now. If they win here, they crown themselves the Western champion. At this point, we are going to see how much of an impact, especially the Butcher, is going to have.
Hopefully an explosive one. You know, not maybe Furnace Blast as I'm kind of maybe alluding to there. I do still expect to see the standard Lamb to the Slaughter if Butcher really has a standard build. It has some cool counterplays and interactions with Medivh specifically, making you second guess whether or not you want to enter portals.
I also, by the way, just to drop that on top, when they ended the game, the first line that they dropped was, "This is for you, Blade." Throwing a little bit of a little history lesson, a little bit of nostalgia back in. Blade, this one is for you.
Given the respect they're out to a past teammate, and it's, you know, by the guy who ended up taking his place there. So it's really nice to be able to see that out of Expert. Either way, though, we've got ourselves the very first Shrine phase. It's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. Again, traditionally, Fnatic, they like to play it a bit slow. They aren't always that eager to get on top of that altar, but there's a lot of plays to play Infernal Shrines. We might see how it unfolds.
And we talk a lot about the Butcher here, but let's look at Fnatic for a second. Leyline Seal into potential mosh pits, just the protection alone. ETC to negate the Butcher every step of the way when he tries to connect, tries to go in. This is going to be definitely a rough game, but there's a lot of tools that Expert has right now. They were trying to go for a surprise draft, and let's see if it's enough to take Fnatic down. Fnatic taking the level 4. We have only up at the top lane now the Butcher fighting against Sonya around that shrine.
I'm going to be honest. You know, I don't play too much Butcher on Infernal Shrines, but my natural assumption is his wave clear is normally not too hot. I don't think he can outrace the Sonya there onto the Skeletal Defenders. But we'll keep track of what's going to be happening up there in the top lane. Expert's not even paying attention, though. They want the pressure elsewhere.
Chop Meat is definitely going to help with that to
I mean,
an extent.
it helps, but yeah, it's not a whirlwind,
no,
you know?
It's going to be rough for sure, but Chop Meat is going to help you a little bit with it. The Unrelenting Pursuit now taken on level 4 for the Butcher. So when you go for the Ruthless Onslaught, on the impact, you reduce the cooldown by 33%. So right now, they're just trying to spam that out. They want those engages then later on. And let's not forget that when you play the Butcher, it's really all about stacking that meat.
Also, we have full Moonfire coming out from Curson on the Malfurion. It's going to be interesting to see if he goes all the way through the Moonfire build, be a bit more, you know, distant and poking, but without the Elun's Grace, I'm going to assume that's the direction he's transitioning into. It does, honestly, I feel like it is a bit underestimated, the amount of damage output Malfurion can distribute, but it's by no means the equivalent of a ranged assassin. You lose a little bit in your utility and your follow-up, but maybe they're trying to make up for that through that Butcher.
It also helps you a lot with the wave clear overall, though. If you stack all that synergy, it's so fantastic. When you, from outside the shrine, for example, fire away and just steal away these mercenaries and minions, it helps so much. But for now, Fnatic takes the first one. So Expert lets the first Punisher go. They are willing to simply burst it down as they bait it over the wall, which you always should do, and then take it apart. Fnatic doesn't get too much here. They maintain a slightly inexperience, but it's nothing too crazy yet. Expert can definitely live with this.
Yeah, both teams definitely showing their respect so far. It's just going to be a slow start out here to what could be match point. Again, remember that Fnatic, due to their just unstoppable movement throughout this tournament, the one-game advantage, and it's so dominant from what we've seen here throughout the Grand Finals. It's just all about the Butcher, and we're yet to see it come online. It's probably going to be post-10 because Ruthless Onslaught is the opener for Butcher, and outside of winning his 1v1 lane matchup, it's just too easy to determine and deter him from initiating until he gets other talents.
With the Butcher, it's oftentimes really all about playing towards the late game. You want to get those stacks together for your fresh meat, and then you can really come online later on. The level 7 talent now with the Insatiable Blade, trying to make sure that he gets even more healing back from his physical attacks when using the Butcher's brand, and also a bit of extra movement speed. So they were really trying to prepare for this explosive play later on down the road.
That's a cooldown, though, that because he is now speccing a bit more into his own survivability, it's also, you know, if he drops the brand onto a target and then we see immediately them get portaled out, it is a huge loss. Not only is it for the individual survivability normally, but now we know that Athero expects a lot of pressure onto himself, and they essentially could just remove the talent. So it needs to be very, very patient on who he's branding and who he's going to be targeting. It's so insane that Expert is willing to put it all on the line to such a wild pick here.
Yeah, but I still think they have to. In standard drafts, Fnatic is just so powerful, and they have always come out on top. Expert is risking something here, but I think they were forced into this. And so far, they're playing well around the pick. They're still on even levels with their opponent. They're stacking the fresh meat for the Butcher. They're trying to go for the 125 stacks that you need for completion. And they still, of course, wait for an opportunity to isolate a target and take it down.
I've just got to give credit to Nick specifically with cyber agilities against power slides. The guy legitimately seems to know the exact second in which he's going to get hit. It's like he's flying away just a pixel away as ETC is moving, and he's just like, boop. No, I'm going to be fine. It's almost taunt-worthy. I've never seen a guy do it so consistently and so calculated.
He started on Sky Temple earlier with the exact same plays, and it was fascinating to watch.
Yeah, it is just ridiculous, and it's reoccurring throughout the series. We have ourselves another shrine. Sonya has been the one to transition up there as well. He's going to capture a couple skeletal defenders. Bad Benny finds a couple members of Fnatic, but the rotation is there, and it's just going to be testing the waters as we're closing in on the heroic talents here for both sides.
Both of the teams grabbing that level 10 any moment now. There we have it. And the picks, as we see them go for the shrine. They go for the Lamb on the Butcher. Apocalypse, as expected. The Dragon Blade, Cursed Bullet, and only Malfurion not picking just yet. Expecting, of course, once again, the Twilight Dream.
Holding on to it, though, can you make an argument as to why? I mean, there's almost no reason to hide your heroic unless you intend, or you can make an argument for the other way.
Yes, it's the Twilight Dream. Maybe it was just busy.
You know,
checking his stacks.
Yeah, you know, checking the stats, checking the circumstances throughout the game. There's a lot of things to be paying attention to in competitive Heroes of the